Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start it. You guys ready? I'll do a little background intro, and then we'll get rolling.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Do you want me to go through the Huawei slides? Do you have Huawei slides in the front?
Yeah.
Okay, just go ahead and advance that. How many do you have? Just can you show me real quick before I start the broadcast?
Same as we used last time. It's business, market,
innovation, yep. And then overview, and is that it? Okay,
yeah,
perfect. So I'll do the first three. Okay, put it back on the title slide, and I'll start the broadcast right now.
Great.
Okay, we're starting.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We were having a few little technical difficulties, and we've overcome them. So we now have all our speakers on the line, and we're ready to roll here. My name is Nick, and we're going to go ahead and have a presentation today. The subject is Desktop as a Service. And this is from Huawei and our great partner, Nuvistack. So we're very excited to have these guys on the line. We have both Tony Harvey and also Colin Kelly from Nuvistack here to present, so that's going to be fantastic. A few quick topics of housekeeping before we dive in. First of all, we just want to thank you very much for taking time out of your day. This particular webinar is targeted at our reseller community. So we previously, a couple months ago, did a webinar on Desktop as a Service that was really targeted at the end user community and the benefits they get. The focus of this webinar is really about how to make money and how to generate new business selling Desktop as a Service, which is a very hot product area and an area of great interest for many of our customers. So a little bit of a different slant on it, and hopefully people on the line here are part of our reseller community. The other thing I want to mention is that if you have questions, we encourage you to enter those in the GoToWebinar Q&A panel. We will take the majority of those questions at the end, whatever we have time for. So if you do have questions as we go throughout this, please enter those questions there. Also, we will have a few polling questions interspersed throughout the presentation. And when we come to those polling questions, we very much appreciate your interaction and vote to pick your choice of whatever you select on the poll, and we will share the results with everybody in the audience. And then finally, this webinar is being recorded. Because it's a VAR webinar, it will actually end up behind the Huawei Partner Portal. So to view this webinar, it won't be on the normal resources section of the Huawei Enterprise USA website. It will actually be in the Partner Portal resources section. So these are the kinds of webinars that we just share only with our partners, and it's not information that we're going to give to the normal customer base. So just a few pieces of information to get started. So let's go ahead and dive in. So a couple quick housekeeping slides on Huawei. First thing, we just want to kind of set the stage as Huawei. It's a very large company, over $45 billion now. This slide is actually the 2013 number, but we just got the 2014 number. So we're up to $45 billion, a massive global company serving 45 of the world's top 50 telecom operators. We're still working to get a larger footprint in the United States, so you still may run into some people who don't really know the brand that well, but internationally, we're definitely extremely well known. The company has 150,000 employees, 70,000 of which are engineers. And we have a massive R&D facility in Santa Clara, California, and some other locations spread out around the United States as well. Our U.S. headquarters is based in Plano, Texas, and we have awarded over $6 billion in contracts to U.S.-based companies. So Huawei is definitely a company that does huge amounts of business with lots of very large U.S. suppliers. On the next slide, I just want to talk for a second about the innovation. So I mentioned a second ago that Huawei has over 70,000 engineers. You can only imagine that that number of engineers is actually more than Cisco has a total number of employees. So just a huge investment in R&D. We spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 billion in R&D last year. So there's a massive investment across a huge portfolio of products, and we'll show what some of those are on the next slide. But basically, we have lots of R&D going on across a wide variety of different areas. Today, we're going to focus in on the Desktop as a Service solution area, which ties from a Huawei perspective to our server market. But we also have a very large networking portfolio ranging everything from top-of-rack switches all the way down to campus switches, wireless, full wireless controllers, and we focus quite a bit, obviously, on the networking space. We also have a telepresence portfolio and various UC&C products, including video conferencing. And then on the data center side, I mentioned servers, but we also have quite a bit of storage product portfolio. And then the verticals that we primarily focus on are education, retail, and also government and just overall commercial business. So that's just an overview of the Huawei product line. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Colin and Tony to go ahead and dive in on the Nuvistack. Colin, if you're speaking, I don't think we can hear you yet. So you might have muted yourself. Colin, can you hear us?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Colin's here. I think Tony was actually going to take this first.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
Slides.
Sorry, Tony, go ahead and take it away. Okay, Tony might be on mute because I can't hear him.
So I'll jump in and start going until Tony gets back in. No problem. So first, a little background about Nuvistack as a company. We all come out of desktop virtualization and software as a service and data center platforms. So the company is focused completely on building a turnkey desktop as a service offering that's white labelable and brandable to your specific branding as a partner. So we're very partner focused in terms of supporting our partners and letting our partners turn around and offer their own custom branded desktop as a service offering. So it's we come out of desktop specific virtualization, so we know how to do desktops. Doing virtual desktops is much different than doing virtual servers. And so that's the market we come out of. That's our expertise is in doing specific desktop virtualization. So the other things that we bring to the table, we let you turn around and offer desktops as a service subscription under a subscription model, so you're getting monthly revenue, and then we set everything up for you, and then we do a revenue share with you, so we're splitting that recurring monthly revenue. We also provide management tools because we've built this amazingly complex automated desktops as a service system, but we don't want to have to expose any customers or end users to that. So we have a range of management tools that you can take advantage of, and also your customers can take advantage. I'll show you one in a little while here. And then the last piece is support. So we provide marketing support to our partners to help get you sales tools and collateral. We also provide all of the initial provisioning support. So our technicians provision all the server hardware. Our technicians stand up all the virtual desktops for you. And then we provide ongoing management support, managing all the server hardware, all the operating systems on the hardware, all the way down to the end user support. If needed, we can manage all of the help desk and service desk calls for the end user. So it's really the turnkey platform that lets you get in and just start selling a desktop as a service offering. We share the revenue, and then you can let your customers take advantage of our platform, so your customers don't have to worry about managing their Windows desktop IT headaches anymore, and they can just focus on what they do best. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you may face today. If you're a managed service provider or some kind of a cloud provider, you're probably always trying to find new products for your customers. You're also maybe worried about losing your existing customers to large big data like Amazon AWS or Azure, as they're starting to offer more and more products. Keeping up with them might be a little challenging. And then also, maybe you're looking for something that's more recurring revenue that you can charge under an as-a-service model. So let's jump in and do poll question number 1 right now, Nick.
Sounds good, Colin. Excellent. So our first polling question is really trying to understand from a challenges perspective, what challenges most applies to you in terms of just running your business. Is it finding new products that you really want to sell to your customers? Is it losing customers to some of these large cloud providers like Amazon, AWS, or Azure? Or is it just the desire to generate more subscription-based software as a service type revenue? So go ahead and vote. We'll give you a few seconds to vote, and then we'll show you the results. Just real quick, I want to reiterate about the questions. We already have a few questions coming in, which Colin loves questions. So if you think of things that you're curious about as he goes through the different slides, please feel free to enter those in the Q&A panel on your GoToWebinar interface, and we'll take those all at the end. And also on these polling questions, definitely go ahead and cast your vote, and then we'll show you guys the results here in just a minute. We'll go ahead and close it out here in about 5 seconds. So last chance to get your opinion recorded. All right, let's go ahead and close it out, and we'll share the results with you. And what it shows is about almost half of you are just really trying to figure out what new products you want to sell to your customers. That's one of your biggest challenges. Not so many, about only 15% really feel like you're losing customers to some of the cloud providers. and then a good little over a third are just really interested in driving more recurring revenue, which is always a highlight. So that's very good information to Colin. Colin, I'll go ahead and pass it back over to you.
Great, thanks, Nick. So maybe let's talk a little bit about what is desktops as a service for anyone who's not too familiar with the concept. It's essentially a virtual desktop infrastructure deployment that's delivered out of the cloud. And so our partners typically buy Huawei server hardware and install that within their data center or their facility. We manage it, we set it up, and then the virtual desktop sessions run out of your cloud. That gives you the advantage of being able to offer desktops as a service to very small customers. So you could have a customer with 1 user or 50 users or 100 users or 20 users, and you can still service that user because they all can take a little chunk out of your shared service stack that runs out of your cloud. That way you don't have to do an expensive on-premise deployment for every single customer, but this customer still gets all the benefits of virtual desktops. So like I said, we take care of all the setup, we do all the backup, maintenance, everything. There's no need for the end users, the customers, to own or provision any of their desktop server hardware or any of their endpoints. It's a monthly subscription service, so you just pay as you go. We like to typically get customers to sign 2 or 3 year contracts, but it's a pay-as-you-go monthly service. And they can spin users up and down on a month-to-month basis and pay for only what you need. Users get the ability to work on their Windows desktop from anywhere on any device. You can get to your virtual desktop from a Android device, a smartphone or tablet. You can get to your virtual desktop from an iOS device, an iPhone or an iPad. You can use a Mac desktop or laptop, or Windows desktop or laptop. And what we love to push our users to use are lockdown thin clients. So we can provide a lockdown thin client for about $199. It's just a small mini PC that you plug in a keyboard, monitor, and mouse. No one has to manage that device locally because there's nothing on there that an end user can access or corrupt that device, just as a gateway to get to the virtual desktop. So no one has to manage that local device, and we manage the virtual desktops in the cloud. So for any user that has a thin client, they're completely out of the desktop management business, and they can eliminate all those headaches done with viruses, spyware, and patching, etc. And then the last piece, obviously, it's an as-a-service model, so it's a monthly subscription revenue, and then we share that revenue with our partners. So essentially, we stand everything up, we provide all the expertise, our partners provide the hardware, the power, and the pipe, and then we do a revenue split. So why would a customer want DAS? Why would one of your customers or an end user organization want desktops as a service? It's very secure, much more secure than a bunch of physical PCs. It's almost always faster performing than physical PCs. We are desktop-specific virtualization experts, and we know how to architect hardware in a fashion that gives you very high-performing virtual desktops that don't slow down over time. So our virtual desktops start fast, they stay fast over time, no matter what. Almost always, when we go and do a physical PC replacement, the end users comment on how much faster their computing experience is compared to their old PC. So there's no upfront cost, like I said before. People can sign up and just do as a service. The only upfront cost to the customer would be if they want to buy the $200 thin client. There's typically a cost savings. If you look at a total cost of ownership study over 3 years, almost always we come in at about half the cost that it takes to buy and manage physical PCs over 3 years. Your costs are highly predictable. So everything about the as-a-service model works under the OPEX accounting method versus the CAPEX accounting method. So instead of upfront costs and then periodic big spends, it's just this one flat, fixed monthly fee, and it scales really easily because you know you're paying that exact same fixed fee for each and every customer. Virtual desktops in general and desktops as a service is very green. You typically see about an 80% reduction in power consumption across the board, which saves you not just money on electricity, also saves money on heating and air conditioning costs. It's a great way to enable a BYOD, bring your own device policy. You can let users bring whatever device they want to work, a Mac, PC, laptop, Android, iOS, and still give them access to the same unified workspace with giving them a Windows environment with just the apps and that you want them to have that's locked down, very secure, and exactly what you want it to be. It's highly scalable. You can add users at will, and it scales very quickly, very easily. Virtual desktops are always accessible and always available because the virtual desktop for each user stays up and running in the cloud. It's always there. If they leave a window open, it's there the next time they come back in, and they can get to it from a variety of devices. They just need an internet connection. That's it. There's zero maintenance because we at NuvaStack handles all that maintenance on the back end, which is really, really huge. No one has to worry about patching apps. No one needs to worry about installing apps, dealing with viruses, spyware, etc. We handle all of that. And then people love the fact that you've got this centralized environment because it adds to the security and to the stability, but it also lets organizations keep more tightly controlled policies in place to protect their users and protect their own liabilities. And then lastly, it's easy to use. You can just jump on any device and get to your virtual desktop really quickly. So why would you, as a managed service provider or cloud provider or data center, why would you want to offer DaaS and go find these customers? It lets you expand your cloud offerings. It's a great customer retention tool. So once someone moves their desktops into the cloud, it tends to be very sticky. People get there, they like it, they find there's a lot of benefits, and it's also a little difficult to move back off to another system. So these customers tend to be pretty sticky. So they'll stick around, and it lets you then start to upsell these customers to other services. If someone moves their desktops to the cloud, it makes a lot of sense to move to hosted exchange, do a little bit of infrastructure as a service to get some other storage and servers on site, and that's something that you get all the revenue from. We just want to do the revenue share on the desktops, and if you can upsell those customers on other devices or other services, then that's 100% your revenue that you guys get to keep. And like I said before, it's a recurring model, and then finally just kind of lets you expand your reach and offer a lot more services to your customers. And the deeper you reach down in your customer base, you find the more they stick around and the more they use you for other services. So Nick, let's jump into the polling question 2.
Sounds good. Great job, Colin. So yeah, now what we're trying to figure out is what is your current desktop as a service strategy? Do you already have an offering in place and you're happy with it? Do you already have an offering in place but it's not working so well, you're not happy with it? Are you actively looking to get into this market, or do you have no plans whatsoever? So definitely place your vote. Like I said, we're definitely getting some good questions coming in, so we appreciate those. It helps keep it very interactive towards the end. So if you have other questions, just keep them coming. We're making note of those, and we'll ask those all at the end. Excellent. So go ahead and just take a few seconds here to place your votes, and we'll share the results with you momentarily. All right, Colin, let's figure out where these guys are. So hold on. So here's the results. Basically, nobody is happy with their current offering, so that's kind of interesting. There's a small percentage, about 14%, that have a DaaS offering, but they're not really happy with it. A little over half are actively looking, and about a little less than a third have no current plan. So that's kind of interesting. I'm curious what solutions they're using that they're not happy with. So let's go ahead and go back and turn it back over to you, Colin.
Thanks, Nick. So let me actually show you a quick demo of some of our automation that we built behind the scenes. And Nick, maybe while I'm going through this demo, I think Tony's back online, so you may be able to find him and unmute him. And then the timing would be perfect because then he can take over the conversation after the demo to talk about the specifics of our partner program. So this, what I have on the screen right now, this is what we call our new center web platform. This is completely brandable, so it's, right now it's branded with our branding, but it can be your branding. And this is really the customer-facing portion of the management tool. So NuvaStack has, under the hood, there's an immense amount of complexity and automation that we've built to support everything because we want to automate everything, make everything really easy for our partners to deploy, but also for the end users and the customers who are paying for the service each month to deploy and manage on their own. So, we NuvaStack maintains a few of what we call centralized management stacks. These are huge system center deployments that are capable of managing hundreds and thousands of users. We manage all that in the background. You as a partner never have to see that. You never have to deal with that. But that exists to allow us to provide these automations and this ease of use. And then when we partner with managed service providers or data centers or cloud providers, these partners will take smaller stacks of hardware. This is where we deploy the virtual desktop sessions on those stacks, but then we remotely manage them from our centralized it's kind of a mothership, babyship mentality. And then once the virtual desktops are deployed on these partner stacks, then you as a partner can start selling 5 desktops to customer A and 290 desktops to customer B, etc. What happens then is each of those customers goes through an onboarding process because we have a very holistic kind of cradle-to-grave mentality of really wanting to get these customers out of the desktop management business. So the customers, once they sign a contract, they go through an onboarding phase, and the public-facing part of the onboarding phase, that can be us or it can be our partners, and we support you and walk you through it. But that phase involves sitting down with the customer, figuring out what applications those customers need as line of business applications to do their day-to-day work. We virtualize those applications. We migrate the users into our cloud or your cloud. We migrate all the data, documents, make sure email is set. If needed, we move them from an on-premise exchange to some kind of a hosted exchange that you as a partner would take all the revenue on, and you can spin that up under your service if you have an existing host exchange service, for example. And we set up printing, etc., and then we actually take everyone live. And so on day one, when we go live with the company, all 20 users come in and they can just sit down, log in, and work. So it's a seamless transition. Once that onboarding process is done, then we hand over a little bit of control to the customer itself. So if you, this particular group of users you see on my screen here, this could represent a company that has about 20 employees, maybe 30 employees. So we've been through the onboarding process with this customer. All their users are in the system. And then we give a couple of the people at the company, at the customer, administrative privileges. So the great thing is this doesn't have to be an IT person. It can be HR. It can be the secretary. It can be anyone from management. You just need to be able to use a website. You don't need to have any technical training. And so these admins, when they're logged in, they're exposed to only the users that they have domain over. They can do simple things like temporarily suspend a user, re-enable a user. They can delete the user, change contact info, change photos, etc. And they can also quickly add a new user. And let's say I bring in a new salesperson and I want to get this person up and running really quickly. So in a traditional virtual desktop environment or even any other desktop as a service environment, if you wanted to add a new user, what you'd have to do is first you'd have to get an IT person involved. And this would have to be a trained, certified, credentialed IT person who has training in at least 2, 3, or maybe even 4 completely different systems and different consoles spanning Active Directory and System Center, or maybe vCenter, vSphere, Horizon Air, those types of consoles. So you need real IT people that have real credentials. You'd have to book that person's time. They'd have to go through all these consoles to set up the user. Once they actually get the time to get started, it could take them anywhere from 1 to maybe 3 hours spanning different systems. We've automated all sorts of things, and that's one of the things that we've completely automated. So if I'm working for this customer, and let's say I'm the IT director, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not the IT director, I'm the HR director. If I'm the HR director, I don't know a thing about IT, but I can still log into this web portal, click on new user, and then just fill in a little bit of info, upload a photo, and click save. And then we send out an email, we set up a password, and about 15 automated steps happen in the background that I never have to worry about because it's all automated. And then that new user can just start working on a virtual desktop right away. And let me actually just quickly show you one of our virtual desktops, and we'll jump back into our presentation. I'm doing this demo on a Mac laptop, so here's I've got the Mac client running in full screen. So this is my own personal desktop that I just use every day for my day-to-day work. Super fast, really easy to use. We typically will pre-install Office 2013, and it's licensed through the SPLA program. So our customers can just pay for Office for the months they want to use Office. They don't have to pay for Office for the months they don't want to use Office. So that's pretty much the demo. We can go into more detail later if anyone has any questions. Let's jump back into our slide deck. And Tony, did you get back in, or do you want me to keep going?
I am testing. Can you guys hear me? I'm here if you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you now.
Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. So just to sort of piggyback on what Colin has been saying, and he's done an amazing job. I thank you for that. When looking over the list of attendees and the people who we invited to this webinar, I'm fairly sure that most of us are familiar at some point with virtual desktops or deploying, a virtualization project. The truth is, guys, that virtualizing desktops is the easy part. It's been around for 15 or so plus years. A lot of companies are out there doing that. I know most of us on the call today are familiar with those companies. The question that NuvaStack took and the direction that we took was, how do you virtualize the thousands of people that it may take to keep that infrastructure running, right? Whether it's an IT department or hiring on a third-hand person. Virtualizing the desktop is the easy part, but keeping it running, keeping it performing at an optimal level, that's the part that typically trips up solution providers, and that's where NuvaStack comes in. And we have, created this software and created this platform to do nothing more than deliver those sophisticated IT issues in a more consumable chunk, so that it's easier to digest. So for you, as a provider, we're going to hand walk you a solution so that then you can hand walk to your customers, white labeled it as your own, and to say, hey, this is a desktop as a service solution that has been tried, tested, and it's backed through support that it will work. As Colin mentioned through his presentation, our aim was to make it as easy as possible, so easy that the secretary or a desktop manager can do it. In our opinion, it all comes down to the infrastructure, how we deploy it, our philosophy behind doing the virtual desktops, and then taking away all the issues behind that configuration to make it as point and click as simple as possible. Looking at our program, we're not here for the brand recognition. We're not here to say, this is NuvaStack, hoorah, hoorah. What I would prefer is to deliver to our managed service provider partners and allow you to white label it or co-brand it as your solution for your customers. These will typically be customers you're already dealing with today, you're already familiar with. If I can, arm you with the solution for your customers when it's applicable, go ahead and co-brand it. Make it your solution. We'll be extremely in the background, and then we're here to support you 100% of the way. When it comes to setting up joint sales and marketing collateral, our team here at NuvaStack is here from the outset. Whether we're starting new customer base or we're going to blast, a webinar or a marketing campaign like this one, we'll co-brand, any type of marketing that you need that would resonate with your customers. We've done it. We can, show some examples probably on another call, but all of those things are taken care of. We'll jump in with your marketing team, with your sales team to do training, either pre-sales training or post-sale training. Let us become a part of your team when it comes to delivering this cloud-hosted solution, and really you can just step back to making business, or excuse me, to making customers and doing business in the way that you're comfortable with. Allow NuvaStack to come in and be that partner. We've already taken care of all the configurations, all the SKUs. For example, Huawei. I was on a call before this one where we finalized each and every one of our SKUs to make it as cookie cutter as possible. So when you, as an MSP, when you're ready to offer the solution, one phone call, one place, one stop, the SKU is already taken care of. Let them know this is the order I want, this is how many users. It's already taken care of. All the procurement assistance is available. All of our procurement support, whether it's through Huawei direct with their distributor or through NuvaStack, we'll make sure that as a managed service provider, we're walking with you every step of the way to get those things handled. Our team here, at NuvaStack, again, how do we deploy and provision the data center stack? That has typically been, the part that a lot of providers don't want to touch, and it's really time-consuming for your team to take on that hassle. Well, that's what we do. Whether it's your own personal data center or it's a data center whom you are working with, very intimately, we'll come in with you, shoulder to shoulder, and provision this data center stack for you. I want you to focus on your customers. How do you sell the end user customer and get these guys, on your desktop solution? And that's what we do. Let us work under the hood, let you be customer facing and deploy it and win business that way. How do you, onboard your customers? Well, we have a team right now, in the next room, they're working on that best practice solution to hand deliver to you on how do we quickly onboard our customers, whether it's, the most simple, Windows desktop or a heavily sophisticated hospital, attorney, vertically defined computing solution. We'll walk you through how NuvaStack directly has onboarded customers and the best practices for you as a provider. Again, our dedication to you through the support of our partnership is hand-to-hand all the way through the process for as much as you need or as little as necessary to get you guys up and running. I believe we mentioned this before, all the peripherals around the desktop is where I really believe, the managed service providers will really, take off, in this market. One of my favorite, providers told me early on, hey, Tony, I know through experience, if I can control the desktop, everything else will fall in place. Right now, most providers are working with storage, servers, all of those peripherals behind the desktop. That last piece, that last mile has typically been, that virtual or what the end user is using. For us, we're saying we're going to virtualize that desktop for that end user and then provide the tools for you as a partner to control everything. All your existing add-on products, whether it's storage, the networking, any of those things for your end users that is typically your business model. By opening up that desktop, there are just an ungodly amount of peripherals and upsell opportunities for you as a partner. And the beauty for us is we want to enable that. Our core business structure is the desktop. If I can empower you to then make all these other upsell opportunities around that, I feel like that's a key to a strong partnership. On the billing side, assuming that it is your business model right now, I want you again to be the most customer-facing part of this meeting. So when it comes to carrying the billing to your customers, I know there was a question that came through about how the billing handled. You bill your customers, whether it's for the desktop by itself or for all of the other services surrounding the desktop. We're hands-off on that. Now, if there's a situation where you aren't equipped to do that, obviously we can. But most managed service providers and larger VARs, that's typically what you do today. So you can carry all the billings to your customers directly for monthly, recurring subscription model. And we know this is where desktops are headed. I want you guys to be on the forefront. And whether it's, what we mentioned before, staying ahead of customer base or offering new things to customers, retaining your clients, that's perfect. Let us help you do that. And the paper that's being carried for your customers, it all goes down. It's all a part of your monthly recurring cycle. Every month you're not offering desktops and service to NuvaStack is a month you're losing money. Okay, let's start tomorrow and get your customers onboarded on these desktops, and that way you can carry it all from the beginning to the end. When it comes to, again, the maintenance and support, we'll take care of that. I mean, we want to take all that off your shoulders and make this as easy and as simple as possible. So, in turn, if I can wrap all this up, it's you take care of what you're taking care of. Let NuvaStack handle the heavy lifting. Just get out in front of your customers and let us help you win business. Let us help you retain the customers that you're already carrying, and then gather more customers. I know for a fact your competition is offering this solution, and if you're not offering a desktop as a service solution today, someone is marketing to that customer. So if it's not a part of your portfolio, let's get on the call. Let's get you guys under our partner program hood, and let's get you guys making money.
Well, excellent, Tony, and I'm glad you joined the call. That was a fantastic overview. And Tony obviously just covered a great deal of information about the NuvaStack Partner Program. So one of the things we want to ask now, this is our final polling question, is what do you want most in a desktop as a service partner. So if you're going to partner with somebody like a NuvaStack, what is the most important thing to you? Is it the ability to white label that service and make it your own? Is it the flexible support options that Tony was talking about? Is it complete transparency and all the offers and communication coming from the partner? Or is it brand recognition? So we'll give you a couple seconds here to vote, and we'll share all the results out. We are receiving lots of questions. I'd say we probably have about 15 or so piling up, which is fantastic. So thank you for the interaction. And we're almost to the finish here, and we'll start going through all those questions. So another couple seconds, and we'll share the results of the poll. All right, let's go ahead and close it out. And as you can see, the white labeling is almost half, so over 40% really feel like the most important thing is to make that solution their own. A third of you really need the flexible support, and just a little bit of a less interest in the transparency and offers and communication and brand recognition. Not that they're not important, but you had to pick the most important, so that's what this poll reflects. So with that, we'll go ahead and turn it back to the gentleman to go ahead and close it out.
Thanks, Nick. You know, I'm almost, I won't say I'm surprised, you know, at that result, but I'm happy about the result. You know, the ability for us to hand over the solution to our partners is key for us, you know, within our organization. All of our sales meetings, you know, it's amazing. They almost take the appearance of a sales meeting for you. You know, we're arguing on behalf of our partners. What will our partners want? You know, what does the market want? You know, our group here, from a sales perspective, we're armed to help you to sell in the market. For the MSP who, you know, wants to take this offering and white label it and make it your own, you're fitting right in our wheelhouse, and I would, you know, I'll offer that, you know, give us a call. Let's get you guys going and talk about how we can do that. You know, this final slide here, it almost sort of echoes what I was saying before. You know, allowing us to help you to onboard customers and migrate your customers to cloud is exactly what we're doing, and we're going to make it absolutely easy. You know, let us take the heavy lifting and the burden off. From the support model, which I believe was, you know, up there as well, from the polling question, only NuvaStack offers, you know, the end-to-end support for the cloud desktop. Believe us, you know, we've researched it. You know, we are very, very, you know, I guess I can say transparent with regards to what we offer. You know, we don't leave it up in the air or for guessing. You know, we've walked through each level of support, you know, step by step, and made sure that all things are handled. Now, if we look at 1 through 10 and you have the ability to offer that support, you know, A through Z, then perfect. You know, offer the level of support and then what you would charge for it. If there are certain things that you don't offer, we're equipped to pick up, you know, the slack from that to make sure that from your end user perspective, they have one phone call to make and there are no issues whatsoever. One phone call to make to you as a customer, and then you in turn, if you need us, you know, to support you on the back end, that's what we're here for. So, you know, from the white label to the support, that's amazing. That's what, you know, sort of we focus on every day when we're creating the solution for our partners. But I also know that it will all lie on performance. When the end user picks up their desktop and we're replacing that, you know, physical PC that's in front of them, it has to be the highest performing desktop, you know, on the market. I do not want to replace something they already have with something new and it works slower. You know, that's not a good business model. So performance, we've already taken care of that. You know, Colin showed you some of the demo. If there are any questions, we can set you up with a sandbox account where you can test drive it yourself. After that, it becomes how do we support that customer all the way through and support you as a partner and create that new fast track to revenue. You know, our platform every day is modeled around getting you to revenue, offering cloud desktops or cloud services, or really expanding your cloud service offering, you know, A to Z. So, you know, with that, I'll open up for questions, and you know, I really think the Q&A portion of this really helps to drive it home for a lot of our partners. And you know, if there's anything we missed or if there's anything that we can answer further, please, you know, let us know. Thank you guys for jumping on, and I'll open it up for everyone else.
Excellent job, Colin. Excellent job, Tony. And we do have lots of questions, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first question is, can you talk just a little bit more about security? How secure is a desktop as a service solution?
Sure, you bet. So virtual desktops, by their nature, give you two nice layers of security. So The first is that all traffic between the servers that are running the virtual desktops, wherever they're located, and what we call the endpoints. And the endpoint is just whatever device you're using to get to your virtual desktop. So endpoint can be a thin client, Mac, PC, iOS, Android, whatever. So all the traffic that goes between the servers and the endpoints, so that's encrypted. So you'd have to be able to crack the encryption in order to sniff that traffic. Even if you were able to crack that encryption and to sniff that traffic, you really can't do anything with it because the way it works is sort of like we were capturing a real-time movie of your virtual desktop and broadcasting that real-time movie to whatever device you're using. The display protocols only send the pixels that change. So if you were able to grab that data, what you just get would, if you hacked into it, you just get basically a pile of pixels without the key to reassemble those pixels over time. And so it's virtually impossible to actually be able to hack in and see what someone else has been doing. So it's very secure from that standpoint. Another way that is highly secure is that, let's say you have sensitive documents or some kind of data that you really need to protect. Well, you can, if those documents live on the servers inside of a lockdown protected data center with physical multi-level access, with dead-end traps and fingerprint recognition, etc. Those documents stay very, very secure because they're physically located inside of a data center. We can set the security policies so you can't email those documents or move those anywhere, so they stay on the server. And then but you still get to work on them. So your employees can work on an Excel file or work on a Word file. And that document, the physical .docx or .xlx file or whatever, never actually moves anywhere from the server over to your device. So that document is never cached on your laptop or PC or endpoint or anything. And so you can work on it, you can edit it without risking the loss of that actual file somewhere. So if your laptop gets stolen, or if you lose it, there's nothing there locally for anyone to grab.
Excellent answer. Next question has to do with the reselling, and you talked a little bit about how that works, but the question is, what kinds of margins can I expect selling NuvaStack solution out to my customer base?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So with the caveat that all partners aren't created equal, I'm going to start off by saying, the perfect scenario for me with the partner, and a lot of the partnerships we've been working with up to this point has been a typical resale model. So right now, our sort of list price or street price per desktop per user is right at about $99 per month. That's been our sweet spot, all inclusive, 100% support, up to this date. Now, I don't have a lot of data on what our partners are selling above that, because most of our partners wrap service and peripherals and other sales, along with that. I like to believe we at NuvaStack we work for the MSPs. We work for you. So in the perfect scenario, as our partnership grows, we will then hand the service to you for a fee. What you sell that fee for your customer, what you sell the service to your customers are, your margins can be whatever the market rate is for that desktop as a service solution. For example, a doctor's office or a dentist or an attorney, hospitals, in our history, that desktop is not created the exact same as a call center. So we don't put certain limitations on, you must sell it for this price or you can't go over, those sorts of things that make sense. Your partners, your customers, the market better than I do. Once you take the service and what that customer is looking for and what other services you're wrapping around the actual desktop, the margins will be set for our partners or for our MSPs within the market. So, I don't put much governing on what the margins are, and we can talk offline about specific customers and specific issues, but, we're trying to provide a tool for you to go out and make money. Typical margin for us is anywhere from 20 to 45%.
Excellent. Because if you hadn't have thrown out that last sentence, I was going to push on you again, but you came out with some kind of just rough ballpark, and we totally get that it really depends on the customer.
I have to.
So,
I felt like you were, but I had to give an asterisk behind it. All
that's
customers,
okay.
all customers aren't created equal, and all partners don't sell equally. This is typically what we've seen, but there are some that double and triple that. There are some that sell at a discount to win deals. I don't govern that. That's part of the business model and the joy of selling.
Yeah, all good. Okay, next one says, I heard you talk about Windows PCs and Macs. Does NuvaStack have any type of solution for either tablet computers, smartphones, and if it's not here today, do you see that eventually being available in the future?
Sure, you bet. Yeah, we do have that today. So in terms of the operating system that we virtualize, that's Windows, and we currently only offer Windows desktops. You could virtualize a Mac from a technical point of view, that's no problem, but Apple actually doesn't allow you to virtualize its operating system on non-Apple devices, so that just kind of blows the whole desktop as a service model. So currently we only offer Windows desktops for people. Now, but you can access your Windows desktop from a huge variety of devices, and we call those endpoints. And so yeah, you just download a free app for your iOS device, either an iPhone or an iPad. You can also download a free app for your Android device, so either an Android smartphone or an Android tablet. You can also download a free app for your Mac or a free app for your PC, and all those apps, you just put in your username and password, and then it takes you full screen into your virtual desktop that's running off of our servers.
Excellent. Okay, that's very clear. Well done. Next question says, how do you handle clients that have multiple locations and are running custom software, and they may need to either use scanning and or printing?
Sure, you bet. Yeah, and that's something we deal with during this onboarding process, and it's one of the things that makes us so unique is because, if you're doing a VDI deployment that's on-premise, or if you're doing a desktop as a service offering where the hardware is hosted out of the cloud, either way, you still need IT guys to go set that all up and keep it running. And the part that no one ever thinks about is, well, how do we migrate everyone onto the system and actually get to the point where users can start working? And that's this whole onboarding process that we talk about. And this is really like what helps us stand out is we manage all of that. And so we can work with you to train your staff to do that, or we can handle it on our own. It doesn't matter. But it's an extensive process of figuring out exactly what apps are needed. And then we virtualize all those apps. We have a large software catalog of virtualized apps that we already have available for use, and we can light those existing virtualized apps up for anyone, any of our customers to take advantage of. If it's an app that we haven't virtualized yet, it takes us about 10 hours per app to get that virtualized. So we'll look at all the apps that are needed to be used. We'll get to those into the system, get those virtualized before anyone goes live, so everyone has access to the apps that they need. Same thing with printing and scanning. So we have two different methods of supporting printers. During the onboarding process, we can actually do this step before anyone signs the contract. We can evaluate all their printing needs and all their scanning needs, and we can tell them right away, hey, these are going to work, these just aren't going to work. So we support a broad range of printers and scanners. Occasionally run into something like a legacy system that just doesn't do well in a cloud environment, but typically we're okay. So we'll get those all set up, and so same thing on day one when users sit down and start working, they can still print and they can still scan exactly how they have in the past. In terms of multiple locations over or spreading users out over multiple locations. So a couple of different options. You can put everyone on a hosted model, so all the desktops are running out of a cloud somewhere and then just streaming to each individual location. You could also do a mix of putting server hardware on site within the LAN of a building to address the needs of a certain section of users, and other users on other locations could have a similar on-premise model, or they could get their desktops out of the cloud. From our perspective, it doesn't matter because we still provision them and we still manage them in exactly the same way. So we just kind of look at the deployment, see what makes sense, make sure it works financially, and then we're super flexible and we'll just get it set up as needed.
Excellent. Okay, really good. Next one is, does everyone in the organization have to be running the same version of the Windows OS?
Yes. So everyone's on the same version of the OS. They don't need to be running the same version of applications. We can maintain as many different versions of many applications as needed, and just turn those on and off for individual users. But yeah, from that standpoint, everyone's running the same OS under the hood.
Okay, great. And typically, what is the minimum bandwidth, and what's the typical bandwidth that the desktop as a service solution requires?
Sure. So if you're doing it under a hosted model where you're streaming the desktops out of a data center or cloud somewhere to like an office building over the internet, on average you need about 200K up and down reserved for each user. So the display protocol is very efficient. It only sends the pixels that change. So if you're just looking at email or typing a Word document, there's very little bandwidth that's being consumed because there's just a few pixels changing at a time. If you do a spike, and like if you open up a web page and start scrolling, lots of pixels start changing. So you'll see a short spike for about a quarter of a second to maybe half a second in different periods, but it all averages out. Over the law of averages, about 200K up and down per user. It leads to a very satisfactory experience.
Okay, great. Can you talk a little bit about what if the customer already has the Office software, and also if they don't, kind of what the options are there and how that works?
Sure. Yeah, so there are a few options, and a lot of it depends on the deployment and where the hardware is deployed. It's not a technical challenge. It's just Microsoft with still kind of getting into the modern world with their EULAs and what they allow for multi-tenancy. So if anyone wants to dig into it, give us a call and we can spend 15-20 minutes going over in great detail. But the short answer is sometimes if you already own Office licenses, you can use those and we can just plug those in. Other times we have to get the license for you, and we do that through the SPLA, Microsoft SPLA program, and it's about $13 per month for a full copy of Office.
Excellent. And you just mentioned a second ago about if they have their NuvaStack solution running out of the cloud. You talked a little bit about the bandwidth that was required. Can you talk about whether or not it's possible for somebody to run this platform in their own data center that's inside their own building? And is that something that a corporate environment can deploy internally?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You can put the server hardware on site, and then all the traffic between the servers and the endpoints in the building, all that traffic gets routed through the LAN and not up and over the internet. So you don't have to worry so much about bandwidth capacity planning to make sure you have the capacity in place. That's one of the things we do during the onboarding process is we do a site survey to see what kind of LAN connectivity they have and what kind of bandwidth they have going out to the internet, and we kind of run the math to make sure they're okay for each and every user. But if everything's running within the LAN, there's usually never a problem, especially if you have a gigabit LAN set up, because there's plenty of bandwidth to go around for all of the users.
Okay, great. Just time for a couple more questions. This is one I know Tony's going to like. If I want to proceed, who do I contact? So that's our kind of question there. You can see on that last slide that's up on the screen, there's partner information for the NuvaStack team, both a phone number and an email, and also same for Huawei. If you want to join the Huawei Partner Program, go to that Huawei Enterprise USA site, click on Partners, and you can figure out how to become a partner, and similar on the NuvaStack website. So that's your primary contact info, and we'll probably be following up with you as well at the conclusion of the webinar over the next few days.
And Nick, if I can add to that, I mean,
Please.
My name is Tony Harvey. You can email me directly at tony@nuvastack.com or tharvey, Harvey, @nuvastack.com. However, the partner at nuvastack.com email, I'm attached to that, so myself or someone here in my office, will see that. When you send an email, just make a note about the Huawei webinar and sort of where you heard the information, and it'll get traced back to me or someone that can help you. But we're all here available. All the information will be the same. So please reach out. I mean, whatever it takes, either at Partners or me directly, Tony at NuvaStack. I'd love to get on a call with you guys.
Excellent. Next question just talks a little bit about the user experience. So How easy is this change from more of a on-premise, on-desktop kind of application experience compared to this desktop as a service experience? Can you talk about any training issues or other issues required to get the users comfortable and productive on this platform?
So our goal is to make it as easy and as seamless as possible. So we do a number of things during the onboarding process and during the setup to try to keep it super easy and really painless, because we want the end user to be able to come to work on the day we go live and sit down and start working exactly the same way as they did before. You know, Word's still there, Excel's still there, Chrome or Internet Explorer is still there. I can still print, I can still scan, etc. So we go through a lot of details to ensure that happens. What we'll typically do during this onboarding process, we'll identify one or two key contacts with the customer. We'll work very, very closely with them to make sure they're in the loop every step of the way. And then before the onboarding process comes to an end, we start a training phase. So we train that one or two individuals at the company very extensively and go over more than any typical user should need to know, so that person can help wherever possible. We also, during the first day we go live, we have support technicians just actually in a live video chat session for at least the first half of the day that just sit there and wait for questions. Typically there's really not much of a learning curve other than just showing them how to log in. So if you have one of these lockdown thin clients, really all you do is you plug a monitor, keyboard, mouse, network cable into this little thin client. It's just a mini PC about the size of a paperback book. You turn it on, and the thin client just boots to a login screen, and then you just put in your username and your password that's been provided to you in advance, and you just get to your virtual desktop and start working right away. And that's pretty much it. We have setup guides on how to set up a iPhone or an iPad, Android, etc. And then if you ever need help, it's always 1-800 call away, or you can click the little icon on your virtual desktop and start a chat with one of the support techs.
Excellent. Okay, we're at the top of the hour. We're going to take one more question, and there are a few others. So if we don't get to your question, you can expect directly to be followed up from one of the NuvaStack people. So we'll definitely reach out to you and answer your question directly if we don't get to it here. But the final one is for a small, medium business customer that typically had a file server in their environment. Does this solution address the need for that? And if it doesn't, how does a file server that's on site interface with this desktop as a service solution?
Absolutely. So a couple of ways to deal with this. So we primarily the goal is to replace physical PCs with virtual PCs, and then almost always you can tie into any external systems or legacy systems in exactly the same way you were tying in before. We can join stuff to your domain, so you can still see servers, etc. However, once people start moving their desktops to the cloud, they find it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep anything else on site, like servers or like an on-premise Exchange or anything like that. So we give each user 20 gigabytes of shared storage that they can put their own documents and data on. We can also, for a small fee, monthly fee, carve out like a network drive that all users can dump into on. So kind of the equivalent of a server, like most people would call it like the Z drive or the L drive or whatever, and that everyone can dump stuff on. Or we'd love to shift that over to our partners whenever possible. So if you have an infrastructure as a service offering already, you can spin up those servers that they need access to. We tie their virtual desktops into your servers, so it's seamless. And from their perspective, it's seamless, and they start paying you for a little bit extra per month. We like to let our partners do those upsells whenever possible. When not, we'll definitely take care of it.
Excellent. Okay, well, we do want to be respectful of everyone's time, so a huge thank you to Colin and Tony. Great job, guys. And I will say we've done a lot of these webinars. This really generated more questions than anyone I've seen, and interest is extremely high. So as I mentioned, we'll be sharing all the questions with the NuvaStack team, and they'll be able to reach out to you directly. But I just want to thank you guys again for a tremendous presentation and generating so much great interest on a great topic.
Nick, thank you very much. Everybody, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I know you guys all have busy schedules, but I hope we touch on a few things that pique some interest, and we look forward to talking to you guys soon.